All right, let's get right into it. There are people in your life right now who are genuinely dangerous. Not because they're loud or aggressive, but because they hide what they really want behind a mask of charm and subtle manipulation. The famous psychologist Carl Jung basically dedicated his life to understanding the parts of ourselves we hide. So today, we're going to use his work as a guide to break down the 6 personality types you should absolutely never trust. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We're not talking about the obvious threats here. We're talking about the smiling friend, the super supportive partner, the wise mentor. Jung's big warning was that the real danger comes from the people who quietly dismantle you from the inside out. And if you're not paying attention to their patterns, you will miss the signs completely. So the big question is, how do we spot them? Well, the key, according to Jung, lies in understanding 2 of his core ideas, the persona and the shadow. This is the psychological toolkit we need to really see how these manipulative games work. Look, we all have a persona. It's that polished public mask we wear to fit in, to get that job, to make a good impression. You know the drill. But the real danger, the real trouble brews in what Jung called the shadow. That's where we stuff everything we've repressed, all our insecurities, our secret anger, our hidden desire for control. And here's the thing, when someone refuses to even look at their own shadow, it doesn't just vanish. Oh no, it leaks out, and it's what drives all that toxic behavior from behind their very pleasant mask. And that brings us to what you could call the gallery of manipulative masks. Jung basically laid out 6 key personality patterns that use a totally harmless-looking persona to hide a really destructive shadow. So let's walk through them one by one. First up, we have the chronic victim. You know this person. For them, absolutely nothing is ever their fault. The world is just constantly out to get them. But you have to see that for them, victimhood isn't just a state of being. It's a full-blown strategy. They use their pain like a weapon, making you feel so sorry for them that your sympathy pretty quickly turns into an obligation. They're not actually looking for healing. What they want is the control that their suffering gives them, because as long as they're the victim, they are never, ever accountable for anything. Next up is the charming mirror. This one is so tricky because they feel like your soulmate, like almost instantly. They just seem to get you, reflecting your own dreams and even your insecurities back at you perfectly. It feels so safe, but there's no actual person behind that mask. It's a performance. Their loyalty isn't to you, it's to your approval. The second you stop admiring them or giving them what they want, poof, they're gone. Trusting them is literally like trying to shake hands with smoke. Now, our third type is way more subtle. It's the passive-aggressive enabler. On the surface, they sound like your biggest supporter, your ¡1 fan. But listen closely, because their doubt is always disguised as concern. They'll say things like, "Oh, that's such an ambitious goal. I don't want to see you get disappointed." Do you see what's happening there? Their real goal is to slowly erode your confidence. Why? So you never outgrow them. They are clipping your wings and telling you it's for your own good. Okay, let's talk about the fourth mask. The secret competitor. This is the friend who claps when you succeed, but then immediately finds a way to pivot the conversation back to their own, slightly more impressive story. Now, this behavior isn't really driven by hate, you know? It's coming from a deep, deep-seated sense of inferiority. They can't be genuinely happy for you because, in their mind, your win feels like their loss. They just can't clap when it's not their turn. This fifth type might be one of the hardest to spot. I'm talking about the spiritual narcissist. They seem so enlightened, so calm, so above all the petty drama. But you have to understand, their spirituality is a weapon. Let's say you get angry with them. They won't argue back. Oh no. They'll just calmly look at you and say something like, "It sounds like you have a trigger you might need to work on." Boom. Just like that, they've used spiritual language to completely invalidate your feelings and place themselves on a higher plane. They don't want equals, they want followers. And finally, number 6, the empathic controller. This person feels like a gift at first. They seem to feel everything so deeply, and you feel incredibly seen by them. But before you know it, you find yourself walking on eggshells all the time, trying to manage their overwhelming sensitivity. You end up suppressing your own needs because they've managed to convince you that their pain is somehow your responsibility to fix. This isn't a deep connection, it's a cage, it's control. So now that we've gone through all 6 of these masks, you might be looking back at your own life and thinking, wow, I know some of these people. And this brings us to the point where Jung's work gets really personal, because there's a crucial question we have to ask ourselves.
If you find yourself constantly attracting these types, the victim, the mirror, the enabler, it's really easy to just chalk it up to bad luck. But Jung would tell us that there's something much, much deeper going on. And that right there, that's the twist. You're not being punished, you're being mirrored. You attract the things you haven't integrated in yourself. So if you're always attracting victims, maybe there's a part of you that desperately needs to feel needed. If you keep falling for those charming mirrors, maybe you're valuing outside approval more than your own inner clarity. These people aren't your punishment. They're a giant flashing neon sign pointing to the inner work that you still need to do.
So what's the solution? Is it to just become cold and mistrusting? Absolutely not. According to Jung, the way out is to become whole. It's about integrating your own shadow so that these manipulative masks no longer have anything to latch onto in you. So the path forward has 4 basic steps. And it's not about avoiding other people. It's about reclaiming your own energy and building some seriously unbreakable internal boundaries. First, audit your circle. Seriously, ask yourself, who consistently leaves me feeling drained or confused? Let them go. Second, let your shadow speak. That means allowing yourself to say no. It means allowing yourself to feel anger, because that anger is a protective instinct. Third, and this is a big one, stop explaining. The right people, the people who deserve your energy, will not require a detailed justification for your boundaries. And finally, trust what you felt. That initial gut feeling you had about someone, that was your subconscious recognizing a pattern. You need to start listening to it.
Ultimately, Jung's message wasn't about being afraid of the world. It was about stopping the fear of your own inner knowing. The more you integrate your own shadow, your strength, your boundaries, your intuition, the fewer of these toxic people can even get close to you. Not because you're building walls, but because your energy, your very presence, no longer offers them an entry point. You become the person this is all about, awake, whole, and truly impossible to trick.